Why do we suffer? How can suffering and pain be reconciled with the concept of a loving God? These are questions that have perplexed humanity since the dawn of time. The great thinker C.S. Lewis pondered these very questions in his compelling work, The Problem of Pain. In this book, Lewis grapples with the paradox of pain and suffering in a world presided over by a benevolent God. He suggests that pain, as harsh as it may be, serves a divine purpose. It's a concept that is both fascinating and challenging, and one that we'll be diving into today. Picture this: a world without pain or suffering, a world where everything is always perfect. It sounds idyllic, doesn't it? But Lewis argues that such a world would deprive us of our humanity. It is through our trials and tribulations, our experiences of pain and suffering, that we grow, that we develop virtues like perseverance and character, that we learn to hope. This idea finds strong echoes in the Bible. The book of Romans, for instance, tells us, "We also glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope." But the Bible doesn't stop there. It speaks of facing trials with joy. It tells us of God's grace being sufficient even in our weakness, and it reminds us that our trials, our sufferings, are temporary. They are but the refining fire through which our faith is tested, through which we are prepared for eternal glory. These biblical perspectives on suffering, along with Lewis's insights, provide a profoundly nuanced view of the role of pain in our lives. They challenge us to rethink our understanding of suffering, to see it not as a cruel joke of fate, but as a tool of divine love, shaping us into better, stronger versions of ourselves. Join us as we delve into these deep questions and explore the wisdom found in the scriptures and C.S. Lewis's writings. So sit back, ponder, and let's journey together into the paradox of pain. Let's explore Romans 5:3-5 and how it resonates with Lewis's ideas. In this biblical passage, we're invited to understand suffering as a catalyst for growth. It suggests that our tribulations can give rise to perseverance, character, and ultimately, hope. In the grand scheme of things, these aren't just desirable virtues, but essential ones. They shape us, mold us, and lead us to better versions of ourselves. Now, isn't this strikingly similar to what C.S. Lewis proposes in The Problem of Pain? Lewis too sees suffering as a transformative process, a divine tool for character development. In his view, pain isn't purposeless, but a means of drawing us closer to God. It's an invitation, if you will, to engage with our faith on a deeper level, and so, in the face of adversity, we aren't simply weathering the storm, but sailing towards a divine harbor. So, suffering, while difficult, can lead to greater virtues and a closer connection with God. Now let's look at James 1:2-4 and the idea of joy amidst trials. This verse encourages us to consider it pure joy when we face trials of many kinds. But why? Because the testing of faith through these trials produces perseverance, a quality that leads us to maturity and completeness, not lacking anything. It's a profound concept, isn't it? Trials, as tough as they may be, are not just random occurrences. They serve a purpose. They are a spiritual crucible, refining us, shaping our character, and instilling in us the virtue of perseverance. Now, this idea is strikingly similar to what C.S. Lewis suggests in The Problem of Pain. He saw suffering as a tool for spiritual transformation, a means to become more Christ-like, more mature in our faith. So, in the face of trials, we can find not just pain, but also joy and growth. Through trials and tribulations, we can find joy and growth. 2 Corinthians 12:9 presents a different perspective on suffering. Let's explore this. The verse reads, "But he said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses so that Christ's power may rest on me.'" Here we discover a profound truth. In our moments of pain and weakness, God's grace is not just present, it's sufficient. It's more than enough to carry us through. This notion echoes C.S. Lewis's argument in The Problem of Pain. Lewis suggests that God uses our suffering, our weakest points, to reveal his strength and divine purpose. It's as if our weaknesses become the stage upon which his power performs. So, instead of shying away from our weaknesses, we learn to embrace them, knowing that it is through them that we experience the fullness of God's strength. In our weakest moments, we often find the greatest strength. Finally, let's consider 1 Peter 1:6-7 and the temporal nature of suffering. This passage finds its roots in the wisdom of the early church, from the mouth of Peter himself. He speaks of rejoicing amidst grief and trials, a sentiment that may initially seem paradoxical. Yet, he explains that these trials serve a higher purpose. They are the testing grounds for our faith, a faith that is more precious than perishable gold. Much like gold is refined through fire, our faith too is purified through the crucible of suffering. The genuine nature of our faith, once tested, results in praise, glory, and honor, not for our own sake, but for when Jesus Christ is revealed to us. This verse echoes a sentiment found in C.S. Lewis's work, The Problem of Pain. Lewis, like Peter, understood the trials of suffering as temporary. He saw them not as pointless hardships but as refining fires that prepare us for something more, something eternal. According to Lewis, the pain we endure can be seen as a divine tool, a means of purification. It's a journey through the furnace, not aimlessly but purposefully towards a greater end, the end being the revelation of our true eternal nature. The pain we experience is but a fleeting moment when viewed through the lens of eternity. It's a momentary affliction, a drop in the ocean of time. Yet, it is not without purpose. It serves to refine us, to mold us, and to prepare us for that which is eternal. In the words of Lewis, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our consciences, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. So while we may wish to avoid pain, we must remember that it serves a divine purpose. It is a necessary part of our spiritual growth and transformation. Though we may suffer now, it is but a moment in the grand scheme of eternity. The trials are temporary, but the glory they prepare us for is eternal. In conclusion, we've explored how the Bible and C.S. Lewis in The Problem of Pain perceive suffering not as a meaningless ordeal, but as a divine instrument for growth and character development. It's through these trials we find perseverance, maturity, and a deeper connection with God. It's in our weakness that we truly experience his strength. Remember, in the midst of suffering, there lies an opportunity for growth and transformation.